or tied 31 NCAA passing records. Colt Brennan out of Hawaii, Mel.
Well, the issue with Colt is, first of all, he played in a very quarterback-friendly offense. It doesn't matter who the quarterback was. Timmy Chang threw for a ton of yards in this offense. And you look at the ability that he showed, time to throw. The defenses that he faced were overmatched. That was the case week in and week out. Boise State was the best team they played. And that, Boise State's okay, but every week in and week out, they were not tested. You look at his size. In game against Georgia, the Sugar Bowl, he looks small. He's about 6'2" and a quarter. At that time was about 188, 190. Now you look at the way he delivers the football. I call him a slinging sidearmer. The ball comes out all over the place, but it's certainly not snapped off from the ear and out over the top. And I think you look at his ability to move, very accurate though. This kid has some ability. I mean, you don't complete as many passes as he did and put the ball in the money. I know he had time. Very accurate, very confident young man. What hurt him, a couple things. The Georgia game, the Senior Bowl practices, then, of course, the hip injury, but I think which he had surgery for, and the fact that he played in such a offense where, you were going to put up big numbers no matter who you were. So for Colt Brennan, the 6th round at this stage of the evaluation process was the best he could have hoped for.
All right, what is Colt's biggest issue? Is it the system that he comes from, the size issue, or the hip injury?
Well, to me, most of all, it's a delivery. I mean, when you have a quirky motion like Colt Brennan does, coming sidearm, it's very difficult to be consistent when you're throwing. As I've studied him on tape, yes, he can be an accurate thrower. But what bothers me about that accuracy is the fact that he doesn't get the ball out of his hand quick enough. He waits for a receiver to come open. It's about anticipation. He'll watch, and wait. You can't do that. The ball's got to come out of your hand.
It's not the hip, but June Jones really is adamant. He'll pound the table and tell you this guy is the real deal. It was interesting, late in the season, I was talking to somebody in personnel. I said, what do you think of Colt Brennan? He says, he's going to have to go to a place like the Seattle Seahawks. Well, Jim Zorn, Redskins coach, quarterback coach with the Seattle Seahawks, so this one at least makes some sense.
You watch him, his game turns into a little bit of a street ball kind of game. You just don't see the discipline play in and play out that you need at the NFL level.
And we just haven't seen the success of players playing in this type of system in the league. So I think the track record as far as guys failing, and he's only 6'2", which his height is not bad, but if you're throwing sidearm, so now he's even shorter.
There you go.
And can he fit his arm in those slots and throw through those windows?
Let me just say this, Chris. When you're talking, I mentioned Mike Hart as a guy that some people said, hey, 2nd or 3rd round, and now he's available late. But for Colt Brennan, I asked the same question around October, long before the Sugar Bowl against Georgia, long before the Senior Bowl, long before anything that was negative about Colt Brennan. He was throwing for a ton of yards every week. 2nd or 3rd round was in the mix from quality personnel people that I spoke to about Colt Brennan. He could go that early. So here's a kid in the 6th round. Hey, he's not a kid without completely without. This kid has
a good
ability.
Value here in this round.
I don't have any problem with it.
There are a lot of NFL teams who use some run and shoot principles with their route running. So I mean, it's not like it's totally foreign to the NFL.
Do we think that in the next 2 years we'll see Colt Brennan starting in an NFL game?
No, I don't believe so.
No. He needs to get in the weight room, settle in, get on a good diet.
I've been retired 6 years, and I have seen Sunday after Sunday guys that I would swear I would never see them on my TV. So I wouldn't go as far as saying we'll never see him start in the game.
I agree with that. I think Colt Brennan has a chance in a 2 or 3 year period. If he can maintain his weight, he was 185, 190. If he can stay around 210 and maintain it, he looked small against Georgia. Now, they were getting after him. Nothing he could do. He had no time to throw. The Hawaii football team was overmatched. Marcus Howard, by the way, who went to the Indianapolis Colts, is a defensive end outside linebacker. He was getting after Colt Brennan all day, all night. It was all one side. It was all Georgia. With that said, I think the kid has a chance that for 2 or 3 years we might play it all back. And we're either going to be right, you're going to be right, we're going to be wrong. Somebody's going to be right or wrong. We're all over the place.
I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying when you look at the skill set that it takes to be successful in the NFL, I don't see it in his game. Yes, he does throw the football accurately. I don't like the quirky motion whatsoever, although I think if he accepts coaching, Jim Zorn can work with him. Jim will tinker with him, trust me. Jim's just not coming in and say start slinging it around the field.
What about the coaching he got away from June Jones?
Right, but he's not coming in to start right now.
I mean, that's NFL coaching, though.
Right.
So a lot of these kids, they go to small schools, play down on competition, don't get the coaching, but June Jones was the head coach in the National Football League.
How hard do you think it is, Jaws, for him to sort of tinker with that motion?
It's always difficult, but it can be done. I think you can change your motion and you can work on action, although I don't think that's a problem with him. But the game, as I said, when you watch him on tape, for a while he'll be solid. He'll go through his progression. All of a sudden, you don't know what he's doing. it turns into like a street game where he's not accepting the design of the offense.
Well, hang on. Let's talk now to the people that drafted him, and let's bring in Vinny Serrato of the Washington Redskins. Vinny, we're having a pretty interesting discussion here about your 6th-round selection, 186 overall, Colt Brennan. What made him a guy you wanted to take?
I think it was a guy that Jim Zorn really liked all the intangible stuff, how he was in the locker room, how he was, the leader that he is on the field, and just the way he carries himself. And so I think those were the things that led us. And we were looking for a guy to develop anyhow. So I think he's a guy who can come in, take his time to develop. He's coming off the hip surgery. He's already running and throwing. So I think it's a guy that he's a ton of records. He's done a ton of things, thrown a lot of touchdown passes. He's had a lot of success. I heard Mel ripping him over there a little bit, But the guy's had a ton of success. And, you can't discount all the victories and all the touchdowns.
Oh, Vinny, I wouldn't say Mel was ripping.
I was defending him,
I thought he was defending him.
I'm defending
Oh,
him.
well, then it was Jaws. It was Jaws that was
You
ripping.
don't know my voice after all the times we talked then?
Vinny, Jaws
It
is
was
always
Jaws,
the bad
okay.
guy. Jaws is
Right.
always the bad guy. Let's be clear about that. All right, well, we're talking about some of the things that we thought he might need to have to improve on the next level. We talked about his delivery. We talked about his size. We talked about the system he played in. In your opinion, what does he have to work on the most to be successful at the next level?
Why, I think the thing that we've got going for us, we've got an outstanding person to coach him and teach him. Jim Zorn will be, just what the doctor ordered for him. Whatever Jim thinks he needs to improve upon, that's what'll happen. So I think that he's coming to a perfect situation for him. There's not pressure. We've got a quarterback. We've got an outstanding backup quarterback in Todd Collins, and he's got time to learn. He's got time to develop. And, we said in the draft that we would look for a guy that we could develop. And I think this is a guy that Jim will enjoy developing, who he wanted to develop.
Vinny, this is a different draft for you.